Hi everyone, welcome back. In this section we'll be looking at another looping construct in Python, which is the while loop. Let's go straight to the Jupyter editor to start exploring while loop and compare this with the for loop which we have seen before. So before now we have seen the for loop in action. We've seen for loop, for example, we have for I in range 10. This says I can go between from 0 to 9. We might want to print I. Looping through this range of values, you will have 0 to 9. We can use for while loop also to do the same thing. Using starting with an integer, we can say j is equal to 0, and we have while j is less than 10. This means that we want j to go between range 0 to 9. We can now say print j, and loop to terminate the loop. We have j is equal to j plus 1, increasing j at every iteration of the loop. So if you run this, you will have the same thing as we have in the for loop that has range 10, that loops through range 10. The same thing we have done here with while loop. So why do we now need while loop? While loop is required when you don't know ahead the number of times the loop will run. In this case, we know that the loop will run, we iterate through in 10 times because the range is from 0 to 9. But for situations where you need to loop and the loop should go on until something happens, in this case you don't know when that will happen. So for example, let's say we want to write a code that creates a random number and asks the user to guess that number, and we also want to count the number of times that the user guesses before he gets the number right. So in this case we need an import. Let's say we import random. This is a module in Python that creates a random number for us. So let's say we have a random num, which is a random. We create a random with randint method of random between 1 to 10. And we have a user guess. We have an integer user guess, which we get from integer from user, and it's going to be an integer, and we use inputs to collect from user. User prompt is please guess the integer value between 1 to 10. So we have this as the user prompt, and we create another integer which counts the number of guesses that the user make. Now we are not sure of the number of times the user will guess, so that's why we need it to use while loop. While user guess, this is user guess, let's copy this. While user guess is not equals to the random number that we have here, then we prompt the user to try again. User guess is equal to integer input. Please guess the integer value again. Please try again. Let's say please try again. Guess the integer value between 1 to 10. So then this will increment count by 1. This will increment count by 1. Whenever the guess is right, then the loop will be terminated. Then we print bravo, you guessed correctly. That's guess number, the number of times, which is count. So let's look at how this works. So now this asks the user please enter the integer value. You can see the first statement, I've created the random number which we don't know yet, and now the user guess is entered. Then we want to see if the user guess is equal. So I guess 5. said no, please try again. 6, please try again. 7, try again. 8, try again. 9, try again. 1, try again. 2, try again. 3, 4, 0. Wow. 10. So the value is 10. The correct value is 10, which I guessed right at a count of 11 guesses. Let's run it again. Let's see. Let me try 10. No, it's not 10 now. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Oh, it's 3 now. So I guessed right at the 4th time. I guessed right at the 4th time. Let's see. Let's print the correct value whenever I guess right. So correct value, the lucky number is random num, right? So let's do this again. I have my guess now is 3 again. No, yeah, lucky number is 3. Let's try it again. Let me say my guess is 6. No, 3, 4, 5, 10. Good, lucky number is 10. Let's try it one more time. 1, oh, it should be between 1 and 10. Is that the lucky number again? Seems like 10 is more common in this. Let me use 10 again. No, not this time. So this demonstrates the situation, the condition why we need to use while loop. Here we do not know how many times the user will guess, and that's why we need while loop. We cannot use for loop here because for loop requires us to know ahead the number of iterations that will occur in the loop. And one thing that we should be careful about in terms of using while loop is there must be a terminating condition. If you look at this loop now, it will go on and on until this happen, until user guess is equal to random. Let me give you an example with this that we did initially. If I say int k is equal to 0 and I have while k is less than 10, print k. This loop will go on forever because there is no way k will be greater than, will ever be greater than or equals to 10, because there is no terminating condition. There is no condition that is taking k gradually to 10. In the former case, in the user case, the user guess will be changing, and gradually the user guess will sometimes get to random number. If not, it will continue to ask for user input. In this case, there is nothing that is changing the value of k towards 10. So if you run this, the loop will continue going on and on and on and be printing 0 till eternity if anything did not stop it. So in this case, we will have to stop the running of the program and ensure that there is a condition that takes k to the terminating point, which we say this is increment k by 1. If we run this now, we know that it will print just 10 times because key keep incrementing, and as soon as it gets to 10, the while loop terminates. So this case where you do not have a terminating condition that will get the while loop to terminate is called infinite. That means we have an infinite loop. We should be careful about this kind of condition in our program. So here we need to find a way that k will get to the point which the loop can be terminated. So another thing I will want to show you is the break statement. With loop, both for loop and while loop, we can use the break statement. Let's say we have a code that asks user to enter a value until the value is an even number. Let's say we have while true, user entry is equal to an integer, input, please enter an integer. That's a user prompt. and we say if user entry modulo 2 is equal to 0 and user entry is greater than 10. So we want an integer, an even number that is greater than 10. We want an even number that is greater than 10. So if this occur, then we should break out of the loop and provide us with that user entry. Print your entry is the expected. Let's say we have user entry. So this, we are looking for an even number that is greater than 10, and we say while true, this will always be true, and the while loop will go on until this break condition occur, and the condition is that we have user entry that is an even number. This statement gets even number, any value modulo 2 that yields 0, that gives us 0, remainder of 0 will be an even number. Then another condition, which is user entry must be greater than 10. So we need an even number that is greater than 10. If we run this, it will ask for value. If I put 8, the loop will continue asking for value, because 8 is quite an even number, but is not greater than 10. If I put 4, it will still continue to ask. If I put 11, 11 is not an even number, so it will still ask me more. So, but if I have 12, it will say your entry is the expected, so which is equal to 12. That is the use of break statement. Also, we can use it with for loop. We can use it with for loop. For example, we want to let's say we want to get an even number, the first even number between 1 to 10, which is, let's say, for I range 10, we have if I modulo 2 is equal to 0, and say if I modulo 2 is equal to 0, just let's get the first even number. We asked for break, and we want to print, let's say you should print I here, print the first even number is, that should be 2, then you break out of the loop. So you just print 2 for us. Let's see what's the problem here. For I in range 10, oh, the first even number is 0 because it starts from 0. So let's say from I in range 1 to 10, so the first even number here will be 2. And that's how to use break here. So the break does not even get through it, immediately gets the value 2, it breaks, and it breaks out of the loop. That is the use of break in both while loop and for loop. Let's refine, let's improve on the guess game that we created earlier. Instead of asking the user to continue guessing until it gets right, let's increase the guess range between 1 to 50. So user, there is a random number now created, we call it random number 2, that is created between 1 to 50, and we have users to guess this number. We count the number of guesses in count, and there's a message, you win. You win is the default message. So we now look at if user guess is equal to random number that is created. If it is not equal to random that number that is created, this should go on keep asking user while we count the number of guesses that the user have made. Now if the count is equal to 10, then the message should change to you lose. The message should change to you lose and break. When it breaks, it gives us this, it prints this, the message, either you win or you lose, then the lucky number is this. So let's see how this works. Now it asks the user to guess between 1 to 50. Let me say I guess 12, no. 23, no. 43, no. 33, no. 22, no. 32, no. 42, no. Let's say 12, no. What other thing? 8, no. Oh, That's the number of times I can guess. That means you lose. The lucky number is 25. So the lucky number is 25. Let's cheat to actually see if this works correctly. Let's print the random number here first, and let's run this. So we know the random number is 31. Our cheating works. So I can, let me guess 23 first. It says no. Let me guess 24. No. Let me guess 31. You win. The lucky number is 31. So this improves our, you can see that when I didn't guess right, it says you lose, and you win. You can see how I manipulate this message, you lose and you win, inside the loop, and it can give us the right. That is another way to use break, and a way to improve on our random number guess game. So now there is something I want to show you now. We will improve on this guess game, but I'll show you two things. Before then, let's run this code again. It's asking for a value. We have our cheat. We know that the random value is 34 here. If we enter 34, it will say you win. The lucky number is 34. Now, assuming the user now enters something that is not convertible to integers. For example, the user enter h. The code breaks. Because it's expecting integer and the user enter h, the code breaks. It said invalid in literals for integer with base 10. So this is not good for your program. Your program should be robust enough to take wrong input and prompt the user to give the correct input expected. So in this case, I will show you a way to ensure that, to validate the user input, and also I will show you another construct with for loop, which is continuing. Let's copy this code and improve on it in the next cell. So here, I don't want to take the inputs here. What we have done here, we have a random number. Let's call it random number 3, and we print it to cheat. This is just to cheat. Then we start counting the number of guesses here, and the default message is you win, and which will change if the user enters more than 10 times. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to change this to true. So this while loop will keep running unless something happens that breaks the loop within the loop. So let's say we have a guess from the user, and we collect it as a string. Please guess the integer value between 1 to 50. So we collect this as string. Now we try to convert it to an integer, which will be the user guess. Try to convert it to an integer. If this is successful, but you have the converted integer less than 1 or it is greater than 50, because we want value between 1 and 50, we will raise an error here. This raise value error is a keywords to use with exception. Raise this error. Input, you want to say invalid input. Please enter number between 1 to 50. So this is error raised here. So apart from that, if the try to convert integer did not succeed, then we have the exception raised. So the error has error message E. We check if the guess is not digit, then the print error will be invalid input. Please enter an integer. And else, if the error is raised based on the fact that the input is not between 1 to 50, then we print invalid input. Please enter number between 1 to 50. So that handles wrong inputs by user, and if this happens, we write, there is a construct we use which is continue. That is, from here, do not implement anything, just go back to the looping. That means all other things here will not be implemented. So if it succeeds, we say if user guess now is equal to random number 3, then we say break, and else if, which we call elif, if the count is equal to 10, right, we change the message to you lose. So, and it breaks again, sorry for you to see, breaks out of the loop again. And else, if the 2 doesn't happen, what we want to do is to count the number of guesses, and that's all. This helps us to handle wrong inputs. With this, if I run this now and I enter T, it said invalid input, please enter an integer value. Invalid input, please enter an integer value. Fine. And if I enter something like 67, it said invalid input, please enter number between 1 to 50. This is a more user-friendly program. It's telling the user what is wrong and they should do it again. So we can realize that continue help us so that we do not count. We can let's stop this and show you something. For the prompt, let's say we tell them the number of guesses remaining. Please guess the integer value between 1 to 50. You have let's say, so it's telling the user that you have this much guesses remaining. So let's run this again and see how it works. So it says you have 1 guesses remaining. That English is not correct. We can improve on it again. Let's say I entered T. So it doesn't count that loop. The continue helps us to break from here, and this does not run. So it still have 1. Oh, this is not right. So we have let's say we have maximum guess is equal to 10. So that maximum guess is the one remaining, right? And when the count of guess increase, the maximum guess will reduce, right? So we're looking at how much we can. So here he said you have 10 guesses remaining. If I enter Y, it still says I have 10 guesses remaining because it doesn't, it breaks for it's continued from here, so it doesn't run the remaining code. So when there is an error, so if I enter say 30, now it tells me I have 9 guesses remaining. So if I enter 67, which is not the right input, it tells me that invalid input, please enter number between 1 to 50, and it tells me I still have 9 guesses remaining. So that's the use of the continue. We can improve on it and make it more user-friendly, as possible. But you have seen here that I'm able to capture an invalid input that is not integer. I'm able to capture input, let's say I enter -23, input that is not within the range 1 to 50. This makes your code more robust. And I've shown you here also the continue. The continue says when this happen, if this error happen and we get to this error block, then you continue. You do not run the remaining. You do not increment the counter, and you do not check for the guess if the guess is right. Just go back to the loop and do it again. So this makes the program more robust and more user friendly. So here we've been able to look at while loop. I started with for loop to remind you what for loop. Then I showed you the equivalent of the for loop here. Then we are able to see the difference between for loop and while loop. So while loop is used when you don't know ahead the number of iteration that will happen in the loop. So we use this user guess, we use this random number guess to demonstrate that. Also examples with getting an even number from range of integers. Then we looked at this guess game, user guess game. Then we can improve, or we improved on the user guess game by including error handling, which I showed you the concept of exception, which we might still talk more about this when we go to advanced stages of this course. And I also show you the use of continue, which continues with the loop without running the statements below the continue. If this error happen in this block, so continue is called and all this remaining does not happen. So I showed you how this is used to actually improve the user friendliness of our code. So I will stop on while loop here, but I will give us a kind of exercise that we can work on. Look at this exercise. A lottery game, the user enters six numbers. The system creates generates six random numbers, and the six numbers entered by the user is compared with the six random lucky numbers generated by your lottery system. And if less than 2 matches between user entries and the lucky numbers, then the user wins nothing. If we have 2 matches there, the user will win £100. If you have 3 numbers that match, the user will win £500. If you have 4 numbers that match, the user will win £1,000. And if you have 5 numbers that match, the user will win £10,000. If all the 6 numbers that the user enters matches the system's generated 6 random number, then the user will win a jackpot, which is 1 million, whopping 1 million pounds. So let's try this exercise, and in the next section I will show you my own implementation of this lottery game exercise, and also some other miscellaneous constructs that I might have mentioned or I have not mentioned in this course. Then we'll go to the next topic. For now, let's stop on while loop, think about the exercise, practice it, and let's look at the implementation in the next section.